Welcome to Adjust, the Conversation, a podcast where mental health is spoken about honestly, without judgment, and in a way that actually makes sense for real people living real lives. Each week, we dig into the questions, struggles, and stories that shape us, and we explore practical ways to feel a little lighter and a lot more understood. I'm Ashley, licensed mental health counselor, trauma and ADHD specialist, and apparently someone who starts podcasts now. I use CBT and other holistic approaches that best fit you, but my philosophy is pretty simple. Think of me as a guide with a few ideas that could help, a safe place to explore what feels wrong, and a partner when it just feels too hard. For the last 10 years, I've spent my career working with kids, teens, and adults navigating trauma, neurodevelopmental disorders, mood disorders, parenting terrors, and the general messiness of being a human being. I also have ADHD, which you probably can't tell, but you're probably already able to tell.
I'm Marcella, licensed mental health counselor associate and now fellow podcast host with Ashley. I earned my master's in clinical mental health counseling from Marian University in Indianapolis. I've worked with a wide range of clients, from unhoused individuals and veterans to youth, adults, and families, navigating anxiety, depression, trauma, and the general overwhelm of being a human in today's world. My approach is humanistic, holistic, grounded in seeing the person before the problem. I believe you already hold many of the answers. Sometimes it just takes the right space to find clarity. Outside of the therapy room, I'm probably building Legos or playing with my dogs. My goal for Adjust the Conversation is simple: to show that conversations about mental health don't have to be awkward or overly clinical. They just need to happen.
What if the thing you do every single night, without thinking, is actually one of the most mysterious things in human history? Shakespeare called it a sleep of death, but before the 1950s, scientists just thought your brain simply went quiet. Then everything changed. We now know that sleep is anything but silent. Your brain is working, processing emotions, consolidating memories, and yes, dreaming. And centuries later, we're still asking the same questions. So today, we're diving into sleep, what it does to your mind, why it matters so much for your mental health, and what science is only just beginning to understand. We found someone who knows that firsthand, and what she told us, we didn't see coming.
I wake up during surgery. That's just me.
Like that's just how it is.
And that doesn't, some people will say, oh, you've abused drugs. That's not the
no.
case. I was 12 years old and woke up during surgery. And I had never had drugs in my life. That was the first time I ever put to sleep. And I woke up and the doctor's like, couldn't believe
That was
it.
your first drug.
Yeah.
Anesthesia.
And I'm like, they're like, couldn't believe it.
There's more where that came from, and that's just the part we could fit into a hook. The full conversation drops soon, trust us. You're going to want to hear all of it. March 1st through 7th is National Sleep Awareness Week. This is the week where 90% of people just hear about sleep hygiene. It gets beaten into our heads. But it is obviously so much more than that. And that's what the Sleep Awareness Week is for. It's more than just hygiene. So before we go into our more conversational things, we wanted to outline just kind of what is sleep, because it seems like an easy answer. And yet I get so many different responses. So Marcella, I'm curious, just as you either personally or with your people that you work with, what is sleep for you guys? Like when you talk about sleep, what kind of things come up?
The biggest word that I think of when I think of sleep is like maintenance. That's how I describe it, especially with my teens, is like who don't want to sleep, right?
Yeah.
Which
Sleep is for
It's-
losers.
it's especially like in that time of like teen, high school, it's like puberty too is such a factor. I'm like, well, that melatonin's coming in at like 11 p.m. now. Right? Or they're like, what do I do until it? 1 a.m.? Nothing. So I'm like, okay, like I totally get that like your body's telling you to stay up, but maintenance wise, we have to get that sleep for us to function the next day and so on. And I guess like consistent sleep too, I should say. Maintenance is like, that's what it is for me. It's maintenance work,
Yeah.
you know?
All of it, I think that's a misnomer, is that You come into therapy or a doctor's office and they're like, sleep, do it. And you're like, cool. 3 days later, and you're like, I didn't want to be no 3 days. Or even like I took a 90-minute nap and I should feel refreshed.
Yes, that the myth that you can bank sleep.
Oh, I love that.
I'll catch up on the weekend. So that's not how it works. Hate to break it to you. But yeah, that's one thing that I'm like, hey, no.
No myth, right?
Right.
No, yeah, it's compounding, like working out or diet or whatever.
Right. What comes up for you when either yourself or with clients when you think of sleep?
Hmm. For me, a lot of it's like sleep education too.
Mhm.
Of just correcting what they think sleep is, which is often sleeping.
Mhm.
When I am asleep, I sleep. And I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. But what does it do for you? And then that's where the awareness stops. So like, will I feel better? And you hear that question mark at the end of it.
Right.
Um, so I kind of feel like we're hearing the same things, just in different fonts.
Mhm.
Maintenance, it's more than just closing your eyes at the end of the day.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. So when I go in, right, and I kind of started because you see the glass eyes, when you start talking about sleep, you're like, oh my God, here we go.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, tell me what you know about the sleeping process, because it isn't just shut your eyes.
Right. No, definitely don't. Um, what do people say? Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
REM.
Yeah.
I hear REM a lot. I was like, cool, what is it?
Chirp, 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 chirp. Rapid eye.
Rapid eye motion? Close enough. I do love hearing what they think it means. I can't bring any examples, but rapid eye movements, I think I heard. And I was like, yes, rapid. You're close. You're so close. But right, yeah, no, I mean, you could hop on Google right now and type in what is sleep. And I'll say, okay, you got 4 stages, 90 minutes. Some chemicals happen, right? Like the brain waves change, but then people think it starts when they close their eyes. And I'm like, no, it starts in the morning.
Right.
It starts the night before. So I think that's where a lot of my course correction has to happen.
Mhm. And when they're like, what do you mean? It starts in the morning. I just woke up from it.
Yeah. I'm not sleeping anymore. Um,
How do you respond to that?
how do I respond? Oh, I'm kind of pushing back.
Yeah.
I think I just ask it. I was like, yeah, you did just wake up. What's the difference, right? Between getting a good night's sleep and a bad night's sleep when you first wake up,
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, there you go.
Reflect.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, for you, I'm sure you have your mornings. I have a friend, I'll have to tell you that in a minute, but what's your kind of like mornings when you're like, oh, I have good sleep versus I have bad?
I think I feel it, and I know I touched upon this, I think, in the very first podcast, but how I know, like, when my nervous system is kind of on edge and how I can, like, feel that irritability if I would wake up. Because, like I said, like, I'm pretty I got a pretty good mood.
Yeah, like I'm envious. You've got a good life set up here.
Yeah, and so when that, like, just cloud of irritability when I wake up and I just noticed that shift in, like, my morning tasks, how I'm going about them, how they're weighing on me different. That's how I can kind of notice.
Okay. Yeah, like the energy levels you meet those tasks with, or just like
So
the thinking.
motivation, yeah.
Yeah. Are you a Pop Tarter? You go blah, and you wake up, or are you more of the grog, bog and grog?
Depends how many times my dogs have waken me up in the middle of the night to take them out.
Yes. You know how many fights I have on don't keep your pets in your bed?
I can't help it.
Yeah, no, I actively let my pets sleep in my bed. Oh no, I'm a full-on hypocrite. Uh, but I'm okay not having good sleep. Yeah, but I'm awful, right?
Absolutely. It's complete radical acceptance at this point.
You know what it is?
I would much rather sleep with my French bulldog, my little Boston Terrier.
Well, they're not that big, are they?
No, but they do some damage.
I don't know. They may be little, but they're not mighty.
I've been told the same.
I have a chihuahua.
Well, say less.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You know, that is all I have to say.
No, literally, it really is.
I've got a friend. Well, it's her little sister, but I still consider her my friend.
Yeah.
We stayed the night at their house for something. I think it was like an engagement party, right? We all spent the night. And I'm like, "Hi guys, how you doing?" Right? I'm bright-eyed, bushy-tailed in the morning. I wake up now about 30 minutes later, I'm awful.
Oh, do you need I know you need your coffee.
I do. It's my adrenaline. It's my cortisol that wakes me up. Because those are often accompanied by panic attacks, which is a whole other episode.
Yeah.
But I have a ton of energy. So I'm like, la 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 la. This golem, right, comes rolling out of her room, dead to the world. I mean, I've never seen a face that long. It's like Scream.
Yeah. Like Slenderman.
I was like, "Oh, hi, friend. How you doing?" And she, oh my God, it looks we kill.
Yeah.
And my best friend, she's like, "Hey, so maybe don't talk to her because she will kill you." I was like, "Oh wait, no, seriously?" She's like, "No, absolutely. You have to give her a full hour and some."
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, "Holy crap!" So it's like I was never right. My dad pops up out of bed. You know, my mom,
Okay.
my sister, not so much, but she has her mornings, right? And then he got me. So it's like that is crazy to me to have that different. And that doesn't mean she had bad sleep, right? That's just how she wakes up.
Right. That's just her nervousness and trying to stuff that.
Exactly. And probably she doesn't even want to start the day at that. Yeah. But I'm like, that's kind of like the conversations you have. And that's why, like, in therapy, when you're talking about their sleep habits,
Yeah.
that's the kind of knowledge that we're trying to gain. Is get how do you wake up? How do you fall asleep? What happens in the mind? And all that other fun stuff.
Right.
No, I think this would be fun. Okay. So a little bit of a different format, right? Because we're bouncing around.
Mhm.
I'm going to bounce down what we kind of said. Okay. What is sleep awareness?
Yeah.
It's this. Cool. What is sleep? Right. What do we normally have to correct? Awesome. So hopping ahead a little bit, what do you wish people knew more about sleep? There's just so much out there since this podcast, right?
Right. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, just that consistency and how you can't bank on it later on and how it's just they feed into each other. It's such like a bi-directional relationship of like, well, yeah, really it is because you have mental health, whether that's like anxiety that keeps you up at night and those intrusive thoughts is what if thinking, like how that comes up I know for so many of my clients at night in particular,
Yeah.
that's super present. And so obviously that leads into like, oh well, I feel like I can't fall asleep, the restlessness, associating like the bed with like sleeplessness. Maybe that's another thing of like, hey, like if you could try for 30 minutes to get to bed, maybe get up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I've heard that. Like, go watch C-SPAN or a chess match, or honestly, just read a book you've read before.
Right. Like some engaging activity because your brain, at least in college when I slept so bad, like in my freshman year dorm, literally,
Oh my God, just like the lethargy that I just right?
yeah. The worst sleep I ever had in my life.
Weird. I don't know why I said nice. It sounds awful. I was like, why you nice? But
Yeah,
it's also soldier, right?
yeah. Right. But where was I going with that?
You were talking about even in those moments of like, you were in the thick of it, college, not sleeping. We were previously talking about like what people do to help fall asleep when they get up and move around. Maybe
Oh, yes. I would just sit in my freshman dorm bed and just stew and not being able to sleep.
Yeah.
And it made it so much worse because I would just like, at the end of the night, it got to a point where I'd be like, well, I'm probably not going to fall asleep again tonight. And I would like avoid my bed because I was associating it with that.
Yeah. You're being like a bully to the bed. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm trying.
Right. So it's like, if you get to that point, do not let yourself associate that feeling with your bed because it only I feel like digs that grave even deeper. not being able to break it.
Yeah. Well, mindset matters.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's about your upcoming test or where you're sleeping.
Right. No, yeah, well,
Well, and that brings me, how we were kind of shooting the breeze before we started here, and how I want to shake up the snow globe that is our podcast, right? So I'm gonna try that out now. Might not work. Let's do it. Feedback is appreciated. No, but you were talking about what we associate our bed with, and you hear all these things, National Sleep, right? Turn off your blue light, tech out by an hour before you go to bed, right? Make sure it's a balmy 68 to 72 degrees or whatever the ideal temperature is.
right.
And your bedding should be made of X material and blackout curtains and all this stuff.
These things.
And as I'm sitting here reading, actually from like the National Sleep Web, like I'm going through like, yeah. And as a trauma therapist, right, one word keeps coming to mind, and we've talked about it, right? Safety. And so, of course, I type in safety and sleep. And if you're familiar with Radiolab, it's an NPR show.
Yeah.
I cannot.
My dad loves NPR.
Oh man, I love NPR. Plus, they're like Radio Labs and things like those spin-off shows are really good. The point. They did one on sleep. And so, of course, I'm like, absolutely.
Right.
I read so much stuff. And really, the safety part was only a portion of it. But thank you for the long walk for a short drink of water. I've arrived at my point. Like, you know how dolphins will sleep with like one eye open?
No, but no. That.
Oh, yeah. So apparently dolphins, right? Because they have to breathe. So they
They're full of talk.
right? Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. So do they just float? Right? I was like, I don't know. And he's talking about this, and it turns out they have the ability to turn off half their hemisphere. I know it. And then he goes, well, so can ducks, iguanas. I mean, he went on. I think I even have it listed out here a little bit, but like it was insane. So if you see ducks sleeping on a log, these researchers went and they're like, the middle ducks on the log had both eyes asleep, which I guess is indicative of both hemispheres shutting.
Sure.
But the edge ducks had one eye open,
They're scanning.
scanning. And so, safety. Iguanas, even all of the dolphins, because, you got to breathe. It's a thing. Safety. So I was like, wait, I wonder how that impacts sleeping.
Right.
Like, because, I mean, if you go to bed and you associate your bed, like you were talking about, with awfulness,
Right.
that's not safe. Your body can't go, oh, yeah, but it's
Exactly.
like, oh, no, it's dangerous.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like, for me, I never thought about making my bedroom feel safe
Yeah.
and how that impacted sleep.
How do you know you feel safe when
That
you
was
sleep
my
at
one. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel like it's a body response. You know what I mean? Because these animals, some of it's biological. They just have to do it. But if you would put them, maybe this is something I can research more. If you put them in what they considered safe, what happens? I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. But for me, like making sure, you don't live in a neighborhood where somebody can bust out your window.
Right. Right.
How can you make that type of room safe to sleep in? Well, maybe you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that is so different from like how I would make my room safe with like a sound machine and my stuffed animals, right?
Right.
Oh, it's
Well,
so different.
Well, it's just like that biopsychosocial like map I'm thinking of, and how like environment and sleep are connecting and interlinking, and how that's gonna go into school, into work. And do you know the map I'm thinking of?
Yeah, I know the map you're thinking of.
And how that, and like if we go all the way back to my love, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that physiological baseline is not being met of that safety to even facilitate like the cycle of sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're screwed.
No, you're screwed. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it fits. It is. That is what it is. I mean, I've heard clients describe it that way. Yeah, like how am I supposed to? I am. Insert 1,000 choice words here, and it fits every single time.
Right. Because it's just so hard to escape that.
Oh.
And like, especially if you don't have safety.
No, yeah. And then how do you get there? Well, we saw that being okay with stillness. Well, there's a whole project list that happens that you have to go down. And when you are sleep deprived, if you, okay, pop culture moment, Nightmare guy, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger.
Okay. Yeah, I know Fred. Well,
You know Fred intimately?
thankfully, no.
You're like, nah, he's my boo.
Wishes.
Oh my lord. Great movie. But if you haven't seen it, right, he kills you in your dreams is the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And I may need your help remembering where I'm coming from on this.
Okay.
Um, and then like these kids would try to stay up all night, usual.
To avoid that happening?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's where I was going with it. And then they'd have these micro naps. Right. And that's where Freddy would come and be like, gotcha,
Oh, you won't die yet, ready.
and it's like, oops. Exactly.
See, I can't watch these kinds of books. I'm freaking out over it.
That's because I'm anxious. It just brings me to my baseline. I love anxiety movies. Like, yeah, it's great. It's another episode, I guess.
Yeah. Comfort with chaos.
Comfort in chaos and horror. I don't have to look far anymore, though. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah, literally. Just slide back the.
so, so the point
Yes.
was
Avoiding. And then those micro naps.
you try to stay awake and because they know they can't sleep. Where you've seen probably the research of it is more dangerous to drive sleep deprived than it is to drive under the influence. That's like, I don't know if it was marijuana or I can't remember. Some Mythbusters episode they did.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Do you want to start religious though?
I used to.
I could see that for
Yeah, absolutely. How It's Made was a good one too. You've seen that? It's my age is showing.
Yeah, it could be a much.
98% chance. But that goes to speak to what I was kind of going about with you. It was like, you hear this, oh, I'm so tired. I can't think straight. I have brain fatigue. I am fog, or fatigue.
Yeah.
And it's just you keep hearing these things build up and I was like, there's got to be a reason, right? Like there's got to be something going on that builds it up because if you can't fix it in a day, it means it builds in a day or doesn't build in a day.
Right.
And so you got these people who are massively sleep deprived, who are trying to function and do their stuff, worrying, the Freddy Krueger of life is going to get them over here.
Right.
And then you go to bed. You kidding? You're not going to wind down.
No.
But just so you know, that's important because, right, getting good quality sleep, talking to your doctor about it, it's not a weakness. Oh, you can't fall asleep. No. But I will say there's, and this was an interesting fact I had learned, when you don't sleep, your proteins get folded wonky. So apparently we are made of proteins. I know, cool. Didn't know that. It's cool. And so when you sleep, that allows those things to get folded in and stored properly and all this other stuff. Again, I'm way out of my depth on that, but if anybody knows more, feel free to educate me. And then when you don't sleep well, they don't get folded correctly. That causes a lot of that feeling you get, like that symptoms of fatigue.
Yeah.
And then that's why you feel better after a few good nights sleeps. Let me try that again. After a few good night sleeps. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Is those proteins have a chance to be scrubbed. They have a chance to be reformed. And then, oh, I feel like me again.
Right.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Mangy little proteins. Devils. Can't even just fold their laundry right. Come on. Devils.
Fold their laundry and boy, that was good.
Well, folding laundry is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has their level.
But yeah, fighting that predation risk, right? Like that. How am I sleep? How do I sleep safely?
Right. How do I sleep safely?
What do you do to make your room cozy?
I love my room. Oh my god, I love it. I mean, I'll have to show you a picture. You'll probably be here now.
Oh my god. Is Larry on the walls?
We do have a One Direction flag.
Are you serious?
Shout out to my eldest brother for giving me that last Christmas.
Thanks, oldest brother.
Mainly because Liam pounced. So he's just kind of to commemorate that.
You have to.
Yeah, he's soaked. And then diagonal from that, I have a Union Jack flag.
Absolutely.
I wish I was British.
Okay. Nothing's stopping you. Slide into that British accent.
Well, fish and chips.
Or like turning off their thing. Podcast over.
But mainly, I got my posters of my artists. We do have Larry. You're right.
Obviously.
You're so right. I'll be there next to each other. Mainly though, just Legos everywhere.
Oh my god, I forgot about your Lego
I mean, any of my clients know about my Lego.
You need more Legos in here.
And so my dad did say, more like, why don't you want to bring them in? Well, it's not for the public.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
And I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
It's not for the public.
Is this in the Marine Yard? That
Yeah. But yeah, I'll have to show you a picture.
I would adore that. I would. Right, but you hear that? Like, I'm sure somebody's listening here going like, One Direction, that wouldn't be what I pick.
Right.
But that's the point,
Right.
right? Don't go into your selections worrying about the judgments of others.
Right.
I hear that with a couple kids. It's like, yeah, but if I come over, we were doing a brain dump, right? He gets anxious at night, and I said, I'm going to make you a brain dump. You write it all out. You fold it up. His mom even helps him like burn it in the trash can.
Love it.
Super cute.
Yeah.
It's
Great.
if adult supervision.
Why is he getting so anxious before going to the sleepover?
Before his friends coming over to sleep over, he was like, no, that's great. But what if my friends see it?
Ashley.
And I was like, what if your friends see it? And?
Think why?
And he's like, yeah, well, they'll make fun of me. And I'm, and?
Embarrassment is a mindset.
Yes. I was like, dude, sure. But I mean, one, if you're really worried about it, put it in a drawer. I don't feel like it's that right. That's the solution 101. But I'm more curious is like, why does it matter? Like, if I had a friend, I wouldn't want to be scared of them coming into my room outside of it being like super dirty or something.
Right. See me working on my mental health?
Yeah.
Babe, that's not embarrassing.
No.
It's an
It's
absolute power and strength.
Yeah. Power and strength. Yeah.
It is.
And I said, kid, what's more important for you? Being able to go sleep at night or having your friends maybe approve of something you do?
Right.
And you can hear that. I mean, he sat with that for like 2 solid minutes. And I was like, I can't talk. I said, I got to let him do this. Do not speak, which, as you know, is hard for my.
It can be difficult. Just letting them sit with the realization they just made or heard.
I was on the TikTok the other day and they were like, I hate when my therapist sits in silence. I was like, there's a reason.
But we're the reason we hate it too. But
I
see reason.
You think it's comfortable for me?
No doubt.
But he's sitting there and he goes, I guess it doesn't really matter. I went, yeah, little dude, that's right.
Good for you, man.
And sure enough, he kind of moved that fear of judgment, right? Safety. Yep. I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to sleep. I'm tired of failing my test. I'm tired of the teacher coming and whack me on the head when I fall asleep in class, right? Or at work or whatever.
Right.
And it's like it's all that mindset. That is part of where we talked about the environment.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's my Harry Potter audiobook.
You need it.
Every night I have it playing. I've listened to it 8. I'm pretty sure I am like their number 1 listener at this point.
Well, you'd have to be, I think.
I have that in my brown noise.
I know you love that brown noise.
I do love that brown noise. Pink noise. I don't love white noise. It's too.
But you're on the ear. I mean, I understand.
But again, preferences, right? It's an experiment. Nothing is going to work the first time.
Mm-hmm. It's just trying it out.
It is. And trying it out for more than 1 or 2 times.
Right.
Like, I don't know what if somebody was like, hey, it didn't work after 1 or 2, how many nights of attempts would you say to try?
Oh, gee, please just try it. Let's try a week, please.
Yeah, start with a week.
We try. If you don't mind.
And just believe that it's going to work going in.
Well, and just to go back to that mindset, I'm such a firm believer in going into anything with a mindset is going to change the outcome to a degree, right?
Yeah.
You go into a test thinking like, I didn't study enough. I'm not going to do well. Like, self-fulfilling prophecy, guys.
Well, that's funny you should bring that up because, we say what's one of the functions of sleep? It's to, act as a housemaid. Like we talked about cleaning up those proteins and things. But it also, relative consolidation. So let's say you're sitting, this is something I learned, from that Radio Lab, right? This is a really, really, really cool fact. Let's say, at nighttime, you go to sleep and your brain kind of washes front to back and it weakens connections. It's clearing the brain, which sounds inverse to what I'm going to say here, but stick with me.
Okay.
Let's say you practice your guitar 2 hours, right? This was the example they used. 2 hours a day, right? And then maybe you got a latte and you're like, okay, cool. Maybe I changed my pants. You practice 2 more hours in guitar. Maybe you did some dishes. Yeah. Right. And then you go to bed. As those connections weaken, you hear how like the socks or the chores or the what a coffee order might just get forgotten.
Okay.
But the 4 hours of wiring you did on that guitar practice, those strengthened your neural connections during the day. So when you go to sleep, even though it weakens, it's still stronger than it would have been if you didn't do it.
Because you did it for such a
Consistent time.
Okay.
And you can see how that might lead into homework or when you talked about tests. And like that is another reason why they say don't cram. Is because
Right. That makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, seriously, guys, if you want to go down that hole, I highly recommend it, the sleep episode. But just
Are you gonna like that?
I will link it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I adore it. And there's so many offshoots and other interesting studies and just, oh wow. But like just knowing that we're not just preaching a nap time for a grumpy toddler. There are biological functions that can only happen in your body when you sleep. And then like you even mentioned like this mental health part. I mean, imagine, and when you get a few good nights of sleep, what happens?
Right.
A relative consultation. Yeah.
Yes.
So you see why the environment counts, the mindset counts, the physiological counts. There's so many different things that go into feeling safe, especially when you go to sleep too. Because I can't think of a more vulnerable state to be in.
The shower, but I think
Okay, fair.
thank you.
Thank you, Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on. Norman, what are you doing, buddy?
My dog. Sorry. I just love them so much.
I don't know this. Please continue.
Well, there's like a study about how they like follow you to the bathroom because to them that's their most vulnerable position. My dog lays outside of the shower. And it's like she knows that to me that's what that is.
Stop it. Pets are acceptable. They are encouraged.
Yeah.
Why is every single problem I have solved by a pet?
You nailed it.
I'm sorry. Like, cool.
You nailed it.
Can't sleep? Get a pet.
Literally.
Can't shower? Get a pet.
Observe that.
Oh my God.
Right, yeah, just comforting.
Makes
Me feel safe.
Yeah, we could shoot off in 800 different ways, right? Sleep and trauma, sleep and kids, development and sleep. We talk about what's something you wish people knew more about. For me, it's like women and men. We need different hours of sleep. Men need 6 to 7 and women need 9 to 10.
And this, like, people argue about if this is true or not,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense.
Well, there's not a ton of research on little.
They're really not. Well, there's a whole lot of reasons for that.
Whole lot. And again, a whole other episode, right? But it's just like, know that you have your own personal needs for sleep.
Right.
Don't say, oh, the doctor said I need 7, then it's 7. Yep, there it is.
Right. And that's why I like how you said that self-observation of how am I feeling when I wake up when I got this kind of sleep versus a different kind. And just tracking that to see it just as information to see like, okay, this is what works for me and this is what doesn't. And it might not be the same as someone else.
No, yeah. And you said what to look for. How would you track that? Like, let's say you were telling a client, hey, this is how you track your sleep.
I mean, I just love a log, right? Just just a simple sleep log.
Like an analog log.
I mean, yeah,
Yes,
right?
and honestly, that's my go-to too. Just pen and paper, nothing fancy, right? Note the time you went to bed, when you woke up, and just a quick gut check on how you feel in the morning. That's it. Over time, you start to see your own patterns, and I do feel like that's where the real insight lives, not in what the research says you need to do, but in what your body is actually telling you to do. I'd like to make a quick pit stop and talk about wants versus needs, right? You may want to stay up later, you may fall into that nighttime procrastination, but discipline plays a large role in this too, and that'll be a different episode of how to use discipline in your life. That's what we want you to take away from today. Sleep is personal. It's not scary. It's not dangerous. Give yourself permission to figure out what works for you. Don't just follow a prescription. Find inspiration and tailor it. And hey, Remember her, the one who woke up on the operating table? We weren't kidding. The full conversation drops soon. And trust us, you're going to want to hear all of it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with somebody who could use a little more grace around their sleep. And if you haven't already, follow Adjust the Conversation wherever you listen, and we'll see you next time.